Sit right here. I thought there was going to be a scripture reading this morning. However, this is going to sound really bad. I'm not sure you get used to this 94 coffee when I'm preaching. This is like the third or fourth time it's happened, and I'm starting to feel like I'm getting really good at it. But I don't know. That's up to you guys, and hopefully I do glorify God when I'm up here, and I do inspire you to listen to me. Because ultimately, that's what I'm trying to do. Is not to put a spotlight on me, but to shine a spotlight on God, and to really inspire you to look at Him. I'm just pointing. I'm like the John the Baptist in this situation. I'm always pointing to Jesus. So this morning we're going to talk about something that I think is really important, and it's something that in my life I've learned mostly the hard way. Everybody's probably familiar with the School of Hard Knocks. Probably mostly when it comes to your teenage years or late. For me, it was, I'm just starting to come out of that phase, where I'm starting to listen to what people actually have to say. I'm very zealous and very ambitious, and I love Jesus, and I love to share His Word. And it's been like that from the start of my Christian walk. I mean, the moment I came out of the water, I was trying to do my best to share the gospel. I was so excited and enthusiastic about that. I feel like everybody who didn't know and everybody who did know was going to hear what God had to say. But in that, I had some trials, some learning, because I'm the type of person that likes to figure things out on my own. I like to, I don't want to do this with somebody else, with the way somebody else tells me to do it. I want to do my way. I want to do the way that I have figured it out. When I figure it out, then I really go, and then I can really take hold of it. Then it's mine. Right? So I would go study with people who didn't know the gospel. Right? My friends, my co-workers, and say, hey, you want to have a Bible study? They come to one Bible study, we study, and we do that. I started thinking myself, what am I doing wrong? Why didn't we want to study the Bible again? This stuff is so good. Was it me? Was it something I said? That's what we think, right? We think it's on us. We think the power of somebody's conversion is in the message we speak and the words that we say. That's where sometimes we get caught up, because the world teaches us, right? That when you say that's power, right? The way you say it, right? If you're wise or you're smart or you're intelligent, if you say something, people are going to listen. They're going to understand it. And so they don't get this idea, like I do. The power of what I say is not within myself. It's within God. And that is the only thing that I need to look at and need to communicate. That's what I'm trying to communicate. It's God's word. I look at the message and I say, how can I communicate this to a person who knows nothing about God, who knows nothing about Jesus? How can I help them get it? Because really, somebody who doesn't know anything about God is not going to sit down and go to Bible study and go, hey, I know all these verses, why don't we look at these? They're not going to do that. We've got to start somewhere, but it's not always the place to start. We've got to start asking questions. We've got to start being relationships. Because that's what all things into this. And our knowledge sometimes defeats our own purposes. Our knowledge sometimes takes us in camps that, and we gain that knowledge, right, by experience. Right? Knowledge. Is my slideshow not in there? You don't see it? I don't see it. Okay. Well, those slideshows for me. Yeah. If you hit that little check button in the corner, see that? Right hand, in the top right hand corner, where it says on air. But you won't do it. Okay. So this morning we're going to look at 1 Corinthians 2. I think there Paul helps us to understand something about human wisdom. Right? And Paul really does a good job of making sure that we know, and we should know, where we stand. Our knowledge comes often from experience, right? It comes from the experiences that we have. Right? So I know how to fix, I know how to build based on what I've done before. When I went through the school of hard knocks and tried to learn how to do that thing without the instructions, I learned how to build that thing without instructions. When Jerry called on me. Now I know from experience that I'll make sure it's in the computer. You know what I'm saying? We learn from experiences. That's where we get our knowledge. Knowledge comes from somewhere. We have to be aware of that. But where it comes from is the important. Where it comes from is more important than you might think. Because we have this tendency, like most of you do, to look at somebody else. Maybe we read a book. Maybe we experienced some tragedy. Maybe we went through some suffering. Maybe we did something or experienced something that allowed us to be in a position that put us in a position that we're in today. And because of that thing, we have knowledge of the experience. And so when we come upon that thing, hey, we know how to wrangle this thing. We know how to mess with it. You learn to study a passage of God. Next time I go to study a passage of God, I'm going to be pretty aware of what I did last time to point that passage. Right? And our knowledge kind of fools us. And it tells us something much different. Well, like us, the church in Corinth was dealing with the same problem. They were dealing with human wisdom. Paul spends the first chapter contrasting human wisdom and God's wisdom. Now, we all probably know some people who are pretty wise, right? We know some people that are very intelligent. We know some people that have a lot of education. We know that people have had a lot of, hey, there you go. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That was the point of it. But Paul spends time talking about knowledge and wisdom. And he says, for the word of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, is the power of God. Right? To the world, it looks kind of dumb. We believe that God can't see. Right? To the world, it looks kind of foolish. Why would you believe in God who can see? Why would you believe in a resurrection you were never around for? Why would you believe these eyewitnesses that speak of this problem? And so Paul makes this, what is wise is not what I say. He says, in this passage, you learn nothing else from together. This is one together. What is wise is not what I say. So, again, Paul uses this passage. He says, and when I came to you, right? So he's talking about a time. You know, Paul, the Apostle Paul was a missionary. He was an apostle. He was a follower of Jesus. He was a big influence in the first century church. But he was also got a history of background as a persecutor, as a Jew, as somebody who put the church on trial. It was against it for a long period of time. There were a lot of people when Paul converted that didn't accept him as followers. When they realized it, they praised God. So Paul has this history, right? And he goes on these missionary journeys. We read about the Acts, and he sets up all these churches in the region of Turkey and Macedonia and Achaia and all these different places around his modern world, which we would know today as and so Paul sets up all these different churches. One of the churches that he writes to is a church united in Corinth. And Paul wrote 2 books in church one rebuking them for the things they were doing involved, and the other one encouraging them and reminding them of what they're supposed to do. And Paul makes the second letter very personal. The he addresses all these problems, all these difficulties, all these challenges that the church in Corinth is facing. They're divided because of selfishness. And they've got an agenda of what they're going to do. And so Paul starts the letter by talking and contrasting the wisdom of God versus the wisdom of man. He shows us the difference. Because the Corinthians were used to Greek scholars and philosophers who spoke in lofty words and gave this wisdom that wasn't heard by any man. And the people saw those Greek philosophers, wow, they're giants. They look at Paul. He says, that's not what I can do. What I can do, I did not know you and you the testimony of God with your lives. Look at your translation, it says, purity word of speech. Right? He didn't come to them trying to woo them or wow them or say, look at me, look at this message I got. It's something like you've never heard. He says, well, I decided it's intentional. Right? Paul made an intentional choice. No nothing among you except Jesus Christ and crucified. That's all I want to do. That is the most important thing that I have in my mind. That is the most important thing. When we're talking to people who don't know God, they need to know this too. This thing right here that Paul says, look, the word of process is sounds crazy. The people who don't know. That they live about it. It's insane. Paul made a conscious decision. He said, I said, he said, Jesus Christ. Right? And he says this, I was with the weakness and fear. So he draws back on this personal way. Really, this chapter 2 is an illustration of what he wants them to do with their knowledge, with their wisdom, with their Christianity. He wants them to understand that it's not Christ. It's source. We're going to get caught up in this. How to say the right thing. You know, my dad, right? My dad is one of my sources of information. I've talked to him a lot about it. Well, no, I did this, don't live like that. You know what he said this to me? He don't live like that. It's not what he said. It's how you say it. It's not what you say, the content of what you're saying. It's how you present that to someone else. How you are saying it is what matters. And so in my mind, this is what I thought I was supposed to do. Apparently I wasn't saying it right there before meeting. And I started blaming myself for why people weren't converting Jesus and why they weren't following God. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. You know, it wasn't Samuel's fault. And the people of God rejected God and chose to make his fault. It wasn't that people were rejecting, saying that people were rejecting God or Jesus. It wasn't his fault. So Paul draws back from the personal relationship. We were in the trenches together. I know who you are. I know what's taking place with this. And my speech and my message, I mean, he keeps repeating this idea. My speech and my message were not in plausible words of wisdom. I didn't come to you speaking all these fancy things. Because the power is not in my message. It's not in what I say. It's in what God has already said. It's in what God has already spoken. Sometimes we rely on the wrong wisdom. But it demonstrates contrast. I can offer words from the demonstration of the Spirit and the power. What he's talking about here is simple. He says, My words, what I said, was not a demonstration of what I could do, but a demonstration of what God has done. I appreciate God, it's not what I said to convince you. Look, this is a demonstration of what God has done. That's what our speech should be. When we speak, our speech should be a demonstration of God's power. When we tell our story about our conversion, it should be a demonstration of God's power. You know, we share more of that. Why did I come to Jesus? I know all of them have the answers. But you spend time thinking, why did I come to Jesus? Why did I come to Jesus? And how might that affect somebody else? Right? Because my conversion is not a demonstration of my own ability. My conversion is a demonstration of God's power to save. The change and transformation in my life is purely upon what God has done to me. He says, so that your faith, right? So this is really, when you see a show gap in your Bible, usually the writer is telling you why, right? Why something is taking place, right? He goes back and he says, look at my screen, I said all this stuff, but here's really why. So that your faith might not rest in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. Right? So that this is about your faith. I don't want your faith to be in me because I'm breaking. Is your wisdom rest? Amen. Is your wisdom rest in His power? Is your conversion, your demonstration, and your faith rest in the power of God to make it possible? Your faith needs to rest in the power of God. Your trust in God. He said, this young man the mature. This might look kind of funny, right? The mature, right? Some of your translations might say the perfect. Sometimes it doesn't feel like what he's saying here is making sense. But really, Paul is talking about. If you go back to the first chapter in the book, when Paul talks to the church, he uses similar terminology. He says he's talking to the perfect, right? Who is perfect? Who is perfect? But God alone. Who is perfect but the church that God has created? He says, you have to be sure you're not. You do impart wisdom, right? We give some kind of knowledge, right? And all wisdom is knowledge plus application, right? You can know a lot of things, but if you don't apply it, it's worth very little. If you don't make a change in your life with the knowledge that you have and the need to know that you need to change, what is your knowledge worth? What is the point of looking up? What's the point? What's the point of reading the Bible? You don't get to change your life. Right? Why do you study Scripture? Why do you look at God's Word? To get listen to the knowledge and try to figure out, well, what am I supposed to do? What does God want from me? What does God want me to become? Right? Is that what we're looking at the Bible for? We're just looking at, well, I need to read the Bible, so I'm going to read the Bible. You could read the Bible for a lot of about your Bible. Probably, you can memorize a ton of verses. This one doesn't need to be. How can I live this verse out? Is what we really should be asking. How do I live out what I've seen? Right? We do it part wisdom, although wisdom not of this age, right? So he flips it on its head, right? Here's the contrast. Or a rulers of this age, who are doomed to pass away. So he says, look, the rich, the wealthy, the rulers, people power. This wisdom that we speak, that we give, that we demonstrate, is not a wisdom of wisdom. He says, but we impart the secret, hidden wisdom of God, which decreed before the foundation of all this, before all the wisdom came, before all the scholars, the Greek philosophers, there was God's wisdom. There was a time. There was a time. People would write out God's wisdom. There was a time. Hey, there was doing communication. There was before, you could get a job. You made a life for yourself. How it works. The line instructor used to tell me something. You get stacks of books that you go. One of the things that my instructors would always tell us, if you do private clear up with these questions, he says, when you read these, you got to read them together. You got to strip, you can't eat bones. You're going to eat bones. That's why when you kill an animal, you're part of you want something. He said, you got to find the sources that allow you to feed yourself, that allow you to gain knowledge, that allow you to application, that allow you to do the changes in your life. I mean, I have read some books that fundamentally changed my thought process on preaching. That have fundamentally changed my theology, my ideas, and how I study the Bible. I've read some life-changing things. I have. All of us. We've listened to this. We've watched this. We've seen those people. We've been around those people who are life-changing. But again, it goes back to where does it come from? What are we taking? We're just taking the whole thing, or are we taking parts of it and applying it to our life? Whatever we go to, whatever. That we can stop. Paul is telling you, he said, God created this for our glory. Right? And then he says this. He says, none of the rulers of this age. This is the kicker of the entire text, right? This is what punches you to God. He says, none of the rulers of this age understood this. For if they had, they would not have crucified the Lord. If they had understood the wisdom of God, Jews who understood the Messiah would crucify him. They bring him over the others. But a different scenario plays out in the head and the story of Jesus looking at the cross. Different scenario. Different life. Different world. The world is being on them. The wisdom of God is wisdom of power. We rely on the wisdom of God to make decisions based on, well, what would God want me to do? Based on what He wants me to do. What would God want me to say? Based on what? What would be? What's the purpose? What? Why does God want me? Where is it? Where is it within? Where is it within my mind? Where does it come from? What source are you getting your wisdom from? You see, because if the rulers of that age had gotten the message, if they had understood the wisdom of God, it is like a Roman. He puts this whole wisdom of God. Speaking about the wisdom of God. He says, but as it is written, for no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor the heart of man imagined, what God has prepared for those. You all know, because here's the thing. whole point of this message, the whole point of the is understanding that you need to rely on God, not ourselves. Right? That God needs to be the source of our knowledge, not our knowledge in everything. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying, when it comes to Christianity, when it comes to following Jesus, that needs to be our source. It's God. Not what some man says or what some man's interpretation. We have a lot of those that in and out of the church. We got a lot of interpretations about this. We got a lot of background. There's a lot of things going on with the Bible. There's a lot of different things. We can listen to all of it. But all it does is not our view of what's you need to sometimes look at commentators and what they say. But you don't have to take everything they say as if it were gospel. That's a good idea. It's not. Again, back to our part of the study. We just started out. What is wise is not what I say. Right? When I say it's not wise, the source of it. What do you think all this? You read. You read, you learn, you listen, you watch, you interact. In our everyday lives with people who might be smarter than us, who might be more wise than us. I'm sure many of us have read a lot of wise things. You're just wise. So you go look at it and do it. But what is wise is not what I said. It's the source. So here's two. You already saw kind of one of this. But here's one. What are we talking about? When we choose to do things man's way, we will get man's results. The counterpart of that is, when we choose to do things God's way, we will get God's results. When we make choices based on what we know about God, we can look at this. There's a lot of this going around today. We have to try it and living together. It's practically life. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it's a disaster. Sometimes they're making decisions based on hey, the society says it's okay to do this. Society says it's wise to live with the person you're going to marry. I would not say that that was the case, and I don't think God would say that was the case. But when you choose man's way to speak man's soul, when society says it's okay, do it. Is that a wise thing to do? I don't think that's a wise thing to do. I don't think that that's something where it's like, yeah, that's a good thing. Why you got to test them all out, right? You're going to drive all the new cars before you think which one you're going to spend 35 days on. It's not wise. We're pursuing a result we don't really want. We don't really want the result at the end of that road. We don't really want the results when we choose to do man's thing. But again, it comes back to this idea that I figured it out. Then I know it. We always get the same result when we choose to do man's thing. What we say should be a demonstration of God's wisdom. When we speak to somebody, we listen to some life, to evangelism, this kind of life, counseling, like, look, make any sense. It should not be our wisdom given. What does God say about this? You know, when Paul came to these Corinthians, he was talking to them about the gospel. He didn't come speaking in superiority of speech. He didn't come to them trying to move them around. He says, look, I came to preach to you Jesus Christ. And to show you the power of God within you. That's the message. When we choose God's ways, we get God's results. What I say is not wise. What the source is. My source. My source. I pray today that we can learn from the wisdom of God. That we will choose God's wisdom over our own. Maybe you're very struggling with something you have not made known. Maybe you are choosing a path that is giving you results that you really didn't know you didn't want. And maybe you need help. There's going to be an elder up here waiting for you this morning and pray with you if that's the case. If you don't feel comfortable coming forward, I will just make sure I make this known to you guys. You need to find that person that's supposed to. You need to find the person that you connect with. And you need to share your struggles. When you isolate, when you keep them to yourself, when you bottle them up, there's never a good result. It's awesome. That's the funny thing. Somebody you know is not going to change your way. It's going to be good in the ways that you need that.